This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome to the Special Chronicles show. My name is Daniel, founder. I'm the founder of Special Chronicles and a Southern Tribal International Global Messenger with Special Olympics. This is episode 466. And for those of you new, or even though for those of you who are returning listeners, specialchronicles.com for links to follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And be sure to also subscribe or follow and rate and review this podcast, Special Chronicles, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the iHeart Radio app. So subscribe to Special Chronicles to watch the live stream video episodes and sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com for links to subscribe and follow. This week, we're on the road. We're on the road to the upcoming Special Olympics 2022 USA Games. Our guest this week on the Special Chronicles show is a returning guest. Is my friend and fellow Special Olympics athlete Lido, and myself, co-chair of our state's Athlete Leadership Council. Please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Eric back to the Special Chronicles show in conversation about being an athlete coach at the upcoming 2022 USA Games. Welcome back to Special Chronicles, Eric. Yeah, it's good to have you back on the show. I was trying to think back to when you were first on, and I forgot which episode.
I think it was about when they were talking about my autism and stuff.
Yeah. It was probably in April sometime quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
So we'll try to find that episode and put a link in the show notes on specialchronicles.com for episode 466. But if people just if you want to just go to specialchronicles.com and search for Eric Baumann, you should find that episode in our archives. Or if you go to specialchronicles.com, click on podcasts and then series, I think you can then click on autism, I think. Or just go to specialchronicles.com/autism and find that episode. But this, we're having you on the show this week to talk all about the upcoming USA Games. And past few months, we've had some athletes that are going down to compete. We've had a few weeks ago we had the president and CEO of the USA Games on. But now this is the first time that we'll have an athlete coach on this show. And so for you, there might be some listeners that have heard you on this podcast in the past, but for any new listeners, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us the disability you're diagnosed with and your role within our Special Olympics movement.
Okay, my name is Eric Baumann, and I'm a Special Olympics Illinois athlete, and I have autism, or I have Asperger, which is a high end of autism, which is the autism spectrum, and that limits me with my socialization. I'm not the greatest socializing with people, and then that's about it for now. So.
Good. And tell us now about your backstory and your old years growing up with a disability.
I started Special Olympics in 1995. I started off doing the tennis ball, though. People don't think that when you start off doing the tennis ball, you would go on to do other things. Well, I did, and then in 2000, I started off doing tennis ball in 1995, and then 1997 I did track, and then 3 or 4 later I became a global messenger in Special Olympics Illinois, and I became a global messenger because my coach introduced it to me and thought it would be a good fit for me, and I would become a Special Olympics, just being an athlete and doing more than just competing. I would be speaking and doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Awesome. And we'll get into a little bit more of the athlete leadership towards the end of this episode, but let's move on and continue your introduction and tell us a little bit about some of the challenges and joys and the.
Well, I've had challenges. I've had to work on my skills.
Disability and some highlights.
Yeah, I've had challenges. I had to work on my disability. I had to get in front of crowds, and I had to learn to drive. I had to go to school. When I went to school, I had to learn to do things, and it was quite hard because back then they didn't have a structure for a lot of kids with disabilities in school.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did, we said that I was too smart to be in the special ed classes, so I went kind of mainstream.
Neat. So, out of all of your life experiences and Special Olympics experiences, how has all that shaped the person that you all today?
It shaped me as a person to become a better athlete and always not think about myself, but others. You had to always think about others before you think about yourself. And then working together and cooperating with everyone.
Neat. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, we'll get into talking all about the upcoming 2022 USA Games and how you came to becoming an athlete coach and what sport you'll be coaching down at the our national games, and we'll get into a little bit more about your involvement in Special Olympics and athlete leadership. And your blog, we'll touch on that near the end of the episode. So our guest this week on the road to the 2022 USA Games for Special Olympics is my good friend and fellow co-chair of our Athlete Leadership Council in Special Olympics Illinois, Eric Baumann. Our conversation with Eric will continue after the break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. We're going to take a quick break from our conversation today to learn how you can become a Special Chronicles supporter so we can continue to produce this podcast. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcast, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. And now back to the show to continue the conversation today. And back to the show. Is coming as we're on the road to the 2022 USA Games, Special Olympics. That's happening. Let's remind the listeners when that is happening. June 5th through the 12th. And you can learn more at 2022USAGames.org. Again, that's 2022USAGames.org if you want to learn more and get involved and volunteer. Down in Orlando, Florida, June 5th through the 12th will be on National Games, so the Special Olympics USA Games. And again, that's happening June 5th through the 12th. So, Eric, you told us in the intro how you first got involved in Special Olympics, but now maybe let's before we talk into how you became an athlete coach, tell us what you enjoy about your involvement in Special Olympics.
I enjoy in Special Olympics. I've enjoyed meeting new people. I've enjoyed speaking in front of crowds, and just I get a good sense of accomplishment when I speak in front of crowds, and I just meet people like you, crowds, and just meet something like that.
Neat. So I'm sure now a lot of people know when they hear whether you or myself or the thousands and thousands of other athletes, they know that we compete in sports, so they might know about some of our athlete leadership, whether we're giving speeches or going to receptions or sitting on the board of directors or these other athlete leadership roles. And maybe not that many people might not know that there are some athletes like yourself that are also coaches. So before we talk about the USA Games, tell us how you became a coach.
Okay, well, this past year, I think it's been the last 2 years or 2 or 3 years, I've served on the Athlete Leadership Council in Illinois, and I co-chair along with Daniel.
Yep.
But with that being said, we all work together and stuff like that, but we're not getting really into that. But after that, I got nominated, and then I got picked. I got nominated, and when I got nominated, well, I asked one of the staff if I can help out doing other things. Well, they said yes, but they spun a becoming a flag football athlete coach on me, and I didn't know that was coming. And then, like a couple weeks later, I had to fill out an application, and I did that on vacation. Actually, last year about this time, and when I did it on vacation, I filled an application and got that done, and then they interviewed me, and we went from there. And then 6 or 7 months later, they asked me to, I got picked, and they asked me to do it on video. Did a video for me, and it's on the USA Games Instagram or website, I think. So
awesome. So that's a little bit about kind of how you got selected to coach at our Special Olympics 2022 USA Games in Orlando. Tell us now what sport you'll be good, because I don't think we've in now 14, 15 minutes of being on the air. We haven't really informed our listeners about what sport you'll be coaching down there. But tell us a little bit about
the sport I'm coaching down there is flag football. And flag football is a relatively new sport in Illinois. It's been only like 4 or 5 years. and then I get to help coach other athletes.
Have you, as you just said, and as we both know, flag football in Illinois has just been here in our state for 4 to 5 years. Have you played flag football before you began coaching it, or
yes,
or have you coached it?
Actually, I have played it. I was actually on the board of directors when I started playing it.
I think we.
And then I went
I think you cut out that just a little bit. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think you cut out just a little bit about, but have you always have you ever played flag football? Or?
I played flag football when I was on the board. I started playing it then, and then 2 or 3 later, and then I started coaching. So last year I started coaching. So I've done I played in some national tournaments before it became a sport in Illinois, and now I'm coaching it. So.
And now, once again, you'll be coaching it at our upcoming 2022 USA Games, and I'm going to try to pull that banner up again, but that is June 5th through the 12th, and you can learn more and get involved at 2022USAGames.org. So that's when the 2022 USA Games will be happening. What you comment now? Kind of when you first found out about how you're going to be an athlete coach, comment on your excitement, how excited you were to be going down to Orlando to 2022 US.
Yeah, I was pretty excited, but sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I was excited to be a coach for flag football. Last year when everyone was getting picked, I didn't know if I was going to get picked, but it's okay. Sometimes you don't always have to get picked to do everything, and I was going to be happy for everyone else. And then I got picked, and I was really excited because I get to go to Florida and help out and stuff like that. It's a new role for me.
I think the video is kind of cut in and out a little bit. So apologize that for our listeners. Let's see if we can get the video back up. I think we should be back now. Eric, sorry about that. But let's. Do you want to tell us again? Since it the video kind of froze a little bit there, but tell us a little bit about how your excitement and how you're excited to be going down to Orlando for 2022 USA Games.
Yeah, I was excited for everyone else to go, but I didn't know if I was going to get picked, and then I got overstatic. When I got overexcited, I'm like, yes, I can finally go down there and enjoy it. But it's a different role for me, so it's a pretty neat honor.
Yeah, neat. And the as people, if they're just listening to the audio podcast, go check out the video on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter Live, and you'll see behind me it says "Shine as One," which is like a tagline, a hashtag, a tagline that they have for the USA Games. So, can you tell us about what does "Shine as One," this phrase, this hashtag, what does "Shine as One" mean to you?
It means that we all work together and we sign as one person and we all come together as a group.
Neat.
to
And neat. Very good. And there are probably other Special Olympics athletes that might want to either coach or even compete at the national games or at all USA games. So, what advice will you give to them?
I would just don't give up. And if you don't give up, you will eventually get your chance to sign as one and coach.
Neat.
Because they will always be involving and there will be always open doors. So when one door closes, another one opens, and maybe you get to coach.
Neat. And we're going to go ahead and take a short break in just a moment. And when we come back, your athlete leadership, and we'll touch on your blog, and we'll get into a few final thoughts and talking about inclusion as we wrap up this episode. But before we do, this news just came this past week, so we'll share it with all the listeners that just found out that I and three other my fellow Southern Tribal International Global Messengers, Renee and Hannah and myself, we will be going down to the 2022 USA Games for a few SSIGM and opportunities that they have for us. So I'll be headed down to Orlando with you. So excited for that bit of news. Just wanted to briefly touch on that. And we'll be right back. Our guest, we are on the road to the 2022 USA Games, the Special Olympics. Our guest is Eric Baumann. We will be back to talk about athlete leadership after the break on SpecialChronicles.com. Hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break from our conversation today to hear a message from our partner. Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program. The Energy Force is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they're literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And now we return to our conversation. This episode continues right now. And we're back. Eric Baumann as we're on the road to the upcoming Special Olympics 2022 USA Games. Our guest is Eric Baumann, also from Special Olympics Illinois. And you mentioned a little bit, Eric, in the first couple of segments about some athlete leadership roles, such as being on the board of directors and even as a coach. That's a leadership role as a coach, because you're helping to lead your fellow athletes. So tell us now a little bit about how you both got involved in athlete leadership programs and along with myself being co-chair of our athlete leadership council.
Sure. So in 2000, I became a global messenger. And since when I started off, I only did like one or two, maybe 4 speeches a year. And then I end up taking on other roles later in life. I've served on committees. I've served on the 50th anniversary and stuff like that. And then also I've been serving the last 3 or 4 years on the leadership council with you and stuff like that. And then I just got this role.
So what advice? I know it's been a huge opportunity to co-chair our athlete leadership council with you. What advice do you have for athletes? Because I'm sure in all weekly meetings that we have, we're always trying to get other athletes leadership opportunities, either on the athlete leadership council or speaking or just other athlete leadership. And so what advice do you have if there might be another Special Olympics athlete who is listening and they want to get involved in athlete leadership and get some of the same type of opportunities that you and I have had?
Well, sorry about that, Daniel. Well, then you can. You probably need to contact Karen Milligan or maybe even your region director. So if you're like in East St. Louis, it would be Region A, or if it's at Chicago, it would be Region D.
If you're in Illinois and if they're listening in across the country or even across the globe, then contact your local Special Olympics program and see what staff they have for their athlete leadership program, because I'm sure that those each state or each program should have somebody who you can contact for athlete leadership. So what does the athlete leadership programs and being an athlete leader mean?
An athlete leader means that, for me, it means that you work together and you don't always do what's right. You do what's right for the organization, not what's right for me. You do what's right for what Special Olympics wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
And go ahead.
I was just going to say with advice too, because I'm sure that there could be athletes listening across the U.S., but that there could also be again over 6 million athletes across the globe might also be listening. So what advice will you give to other Special Olympics athletes to compete in their national games, whether here in the U.S., which is our USA Games, or their local programs, national games?
Keep on fighting. Keep on doing your best and just be brave in the attempt. You may not win everything and you may not lose everything, but just keep moving forward.
Awesome. And before we take one final break and get to some final thoughts and talking about a final question, we always conclude these conversations with you. So just like this podcast that we're doing right now is kind of like an extension of athlete leadership, and our friend Lisa Noble has a podcast which is an extension. You also have a blog which is kind of an extension of athlete leadership, and so can you tell us a little bit about your blog?
Well, my blog I started about a year and a half ago or something, and I started doing it because I thought it would be really cool to write my thoughts down in my blog, and so I did that. And then I talk about stuff like healthy eating and what I'm doing and things that are working, things are not working, and then I just talk about life in general.
Yeah. Have you always enjoyed either blogging or writing, or?
I've always joined. Excuse me. I've always joined writing because I always liked to write in journals when I was a kid, and I've been doing that pretty much all my life. That I thought it would be really cool to do a blog and then write so people can see what I do.
Yeah, so if you all wanted to go check out Eric's blog, if you are not watching the video version on YouTube and you don't see the banner on the screen, so just listen to the audio podcast, go in the show notes in the description below for episode 466. We'll put a link to your blog, Eric, which is adventureswithericb.wordpress.com, right?
Right.
Adventureswithericb.wordpress.com. So we'll put a link. If you can't remember that address, just go to the show notes for episode 466 in the description below, and you can find a link to Eric's blog. So we're going to go ahead and take one final break. When we come back, we'll get into some final thoughts as we wrap up this episode. Our guest, as we're on the road to the 2022 Special Olympics USA Games, is good friend and co-chair of our Athlete Leadership Council, Special Olympics Illinois, Eric Baumann, and our conversation with Eric continues after the break. Hey, friends, podcast listener friends. I'd like to take a brief moment to let you know about how awesome StreamYard is. StreamYard is the easiest way to create professional live streams. StreamYard is a live streaming studio in your browser. Interview guests, share your screen, and much more. Stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and other platforms. Sign up for StreamYard and get $10 in credit with our referral link at specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. You see the link right below on the screen here, and also will be in the show notes in the description below. But all of us at Special Chronicles, we love StreamYard. I've got a coffee mug I'm drinking coffee out of. Got a t-shirt on. I've got a sweatshirt. This StreamYard Puddles plush duck, Puddles the duck, here in the studio, and just really love it. Makes really love StreamYard. It makes it easy to connect with guests. Just send guests the link to join StreamYard, and easily have a professional logo and banners and graphics, and it just makes it easy to pre-record, to live stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Really love StreamYard. It's helped to make the audio podcasts and the video versions of the audio podcasts that I've been doing for the past 13 years. Has helped to make the video versions up to the next level, to a more professional level, while also making it easy to live stream. So all of us at Special Chronicles love StreamYard. Once again, if you want to sign up with StreamYard, specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard to sign up and get $10 in credit with our referral link. I hope you all will sign up for StreamYard, and happy live streaming. And until then, sign up for StreamYard and get $10 in credit with our referral link at specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. That's specialchronicles.com/StreamYard. And now back to the show. Our guest this week on the Special Chronicles show is Eric Baumann, as we're on the road to the upcoming Special Olympics 2022 USA Games. And again, if for those of you, June 5th through the 12th is when the 2022 USA Games will be happening. You can learn more, get involved, you can volunteer, and learn more about how you can get involved at 2022USAGames.org. That's 2022USAGames.org. Again, the dates are June 5th through the 12th, 2022, and all the links and information on how you can get involved will be in the show notes on specialchronicles.com for episode 466. Eric, any before we get to some plugs and that final question, any final thoughts on your overall time here today? I know this is your second time on this podcast, but any final thoughts on your overall time here today on the Special Chronicles show?
I would just say enjoy Special Olympics and just keep moving forward and keep looking out for stuff to do, because there will probably always be opportunities for you to be involved in like an athlete coach or an athlete leader or vice versa.
Awesome. So definitely get involved. And if people want to follow you on your journey to the 2022 USA Games, how can they do that? On Facebook, Instagram, your blog?
Yeah, they can go on Facebook, they can go on Instagram, they can go on my blog, because on Instagram I post pictures a lot, And also, one more thing I was going to mention is they're doing a fitness challenge too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And fitness challenge, they can follow you on Instagram to see those updates.
Yep. See those updates because I post about how many steps I do a day and stuff.
Awesome. So, and is that fitness challenge open to anybody listening?
I think it's more geared for the athletes and coaches and stuff that's going to USA Games.
Okay. Awesome. So if people want to follow you on Instagram, that's at ELBY2019.
Yeah.
And on Facebook, that's at ELBSTEIN84.
Yeah.
And your blog, adventureswithericb.wordpress.com.
Yeah.
And again, if you're listening, go check out the description below for the show notes for episode 466. And all those links to connect with Eric will be in the show notes. And if you are in Illinois and you're listening and you want to get involved, soill.org is where you can learn more and get involved in Special Olympics Illinois. On Twitter at @SO_Illinois, and on Facebook and Instagram at Special Olympics Illinois. And again, all those links will be in the show notes below. Yeah.
Hey, Daniel, I would just also, when you're talking about Illinois, mention Winter Games too.
Oh, yes. The upcoming, well, by the time people hear this, it will be.
Never mind.
Next week, it'll be, so Winter Games would have already happened.
Yeah.
So, but there's plenty more events you can get involved.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, SOILL.org. And if you're listening in another state or another country, SpecialOlympics.org is where you can go and find your local program, whether it's in the U.S. or across the globe. SpecialOlympics.org is where you can go to find your local program. And again, the dates for the 2022 USA Games are June 5th through the 12th. You can learn more and get involved at 2022USAGames.org. That's 2022USAGames.org. And Eric, that final question is before we wrap up and let you get back to the rest of your day, is, as you know, the inclusion revolution is a big part of Special Olympics, and inclusion revolution is big even here at Special Chronicles as well. So to introduce that final question, we've got a bumper. So let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference. Our demands are
Equality.
dignity,
and the recognition of our
shared humanity.
We will not stop.
Or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
More divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution.
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
And as you could tell by the bumper, the final question and that I always conclude these conversations with, at least for the past 2 years, ever since coming back from the Abu Dhabi World Games, is asking what does so I'll do the same with you, Eric, and ask you, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion means to me that everyone's included, whether you have a disability or not, or unified approach. You try to include everyone. That is good, and whether it's on the playing field or not, just include everyone.
Thanks. A perfect way to wrap up this episode. Eric, it's been a joy having you on the show. I'm sure we'll have you on again. Anytime that you want to come back on this podcast, you're always more than welcome. And we'll have hopefully leading up to the USA Games, we'll have some more athletes or coaches on. So if you are listening and you know someone going to the 2022 USA Games and you want to be on this podcast, and in particular this series of conversations, this series of conversations that we have on this podcast, you can get in touch. You can just send me an email, daniel@specialchronicles.com, or just go to specialchronicles.com/contact, and you can get in touch that way. as well. So with that, if you are with that, once again, specialchronicles.com for links to follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And make sure to also do what you do with this podcast and subscribe or follow and rate and review this podcast. Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It goes a long way if you can give us a rating and review and hit that subscribe or follow button. It really goes a long way. So you can listen to our archives and listen to plenty of other new episodes that we have weekly and and also if you are subscribed on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, and you can't find an archived episode, then just go to specialchronicles.com because we have over 400 episodes that of our archives are on specialchronicles.com, and you can find all of our archives on specialchronicles.com. Make sure to also subscribe to our channel on YouTube to watch the live stream video episodes. If you're just listening to us on audio, and you want to see Eric and I face to face, so see the guests, and make sure to also subscribe to us on YouTube, Special Chronicles, and hit the bell to be notified. You can also sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. I believe if you sign up for the newsletter, you will receive an exclusive video interview with Dave Breen, President and CEO of Special Olympics Illinois, as we talk about unified leadership. So you can get that exclusive video by signing up for our newsletter on specialchronicles.com. Again, specialchronicles.com for links to subscribe and follow. And we'll be back next week with some more episodes. And again, if you want to get in touch with me, at Podman Dan is where you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also my mailing list. All those links will be in the show notes. And if you want to be a guest on this podcast, please get in touch with me. Go to specialchronicles.com/contact to see how you can get in touch. And until then, we'll be back next week. And remember, choose to include. We'll see you next. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Shows podcast. Visit specialchronicles.com to follow Special Chronicles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new episodes. Also, subscribe to our newsletter mailing list to sign up for our updates and get exclusive content delivered to your inbox. Remember to do what you do with these podcasts. Subscribe or follow and rate and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Finally, please share this episode and all of our podcasts with your friends and family. Help us grow our audience and reach 5,000 downloads of our audio podcasts and over 14,000 average monthly listeners. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week with exciting new guests. See you next week.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.